So then I'll bend it. I hope don't break it. Hi, good afternoon. This is miltonchang of Bonsaiheirloom. Today I would use 3 elm trees to demonstrate my point. I strongly advocate for beginner bonsai keeper, hobbyist, to use elm tree as a starting bonsai. There's several reasons for that. The main reason is that it's very hardy. It grows very fast. It's almost hard to kill them because the roots are very absorbing water, and they can sit in water. They can be a little bit dry, but they will last. But what's really less known is the fact that they talk to you. You know, when you walk in a garden, you say, you know, this area looks a little bit dry, water it, because you can see the overall area is some of the trees are distressed, and therefore you see that it needs water. Elm has a very interesting characteristic. This is a very small bonsai, therefore it dries out very quickly. And I noticed about 2 weeks ago, the leaves kind of lost its gloss. And then I realized it was a little dry, so I watered it. It's almost a little tinge yellow. At least it lost its shine. And literally in 2 days, it came back as shine. So if you pay attention, if you can identify with the tree, you can almost notice that the tree needs watering, therefore it will never dry it out. With that introduction, let me go to work. I'll first work on this tree to do the first cut after I planted and dig it out from the ground about 3 years ago to shape the branch. And this one I cut up, we cut up about February, March, and then we cut up again in June, July. With that in mind, then let me get to work. I'm taking you around to show you different kind of elm trees. And this one is actually a Hokkaido elm, the Seijo variety, which has very, very small leaves. And I really love it. So this is done entirely with climb and grow. You can see it's got a nice turn without the wiring and without being too artificially bent. So this is a very desirable material, especially for small bonsai. It's an example of another example of a very desirable elm tree. If you look at it, it's very similar to the other one. This is also from Hokkaido, but it's not Seiju. It's more cork pine, cork elm. It grows much faster, and you can do more wiring. It's a little bit more resilient. But this one, I already, again, done entirely by the clip and grow method. You can see it's got a lot of movements, and in fact, I will probably reorient the pot this way this fall so that it gives more depth. And you can see it's got a lot of corking, and it fills out very quickly. I can clip it in 6 weeks, it'll be really full. So this is another example of clip and grow and another variety of elm. So one point I want to make is this is a very desirable material for beginners because elm is very hardy. This is a lace bark Chinese elm. I will show you other kind. And you can also see there's not much wiring, but most of it's done by clip and grow, that it can be growing to quite a grotesque, interesting twists and all that without the wiring. It just takes matter over time. To make this video complete by itself, I will also talk a little bit about soil mix and all that for your bonsai. Use our standard soil mix. If you like, you can add more vermiculite, in a sense, add half a part of vermiculite for more water, because they grow elm trees grow very fast when you water it well. Again, it's hard to overwater it because there's good drainage hole, air will fill the void so that it will never rot the root. On the other hand, it will dry it out. If the soil dries out, water just runs out, it doesn't get absorbed. So occasionally you may want to water 2 or 3 times a day to make the soil wet again. The one way to tell is that when you push on it, it's supple instead of hard. And then you can do 1 day a week, once a day as a routine. I think this is the front. You can see the two rootage spreads out, makes the tree look very reaching out. That's nice. So the first step is that I will get rid of the roots on the top, the soil on top to expose the roots to see if that's a good position to, or how I manipulate the roots so that eventually it will look nice. And if you notice, the soil mix is really too loose. I use far too much redwood compost because redwood chips is free here. I can get them relatively cheap from the tree grinding that they cut down the redwood trees. But that's too porous. So the trick is that you can use porous mix, use a lot of slow release fertilizer and lots of watering. It will grow fast. But you better compress the soil so that it doesn't drain out too fast. So the first step I'll do is I'll comb out the roots to see the rootage below. But I would not disturb the bottom roots because this is not exactly winter yet. There's another month or two before it goes dormant. And that's when I would probably just cut it here to cut off the big roots to fit it into a bonsai pot. But you can see there are a lot of fibrous roots. They will all become fairly thick eventually. This side is dead, so there's no roots. That's okay. That's natural. That's nature. And I need to get rid of the top part so I can see the roots. That's part of my design. If that's not done right, it will never be right, the tree. So you always get rid of the top to make sure you have the roots at the right places and so forth. So this side is kind of a lost cause because most of the branch is dead, which is a nice feature, but there's no roots here. Or the roots are up here. And so this will be in the back. Well, I have to confess, I didn't do everything right, but you can see the roots are coming out here. I can almost expose this, the top here, to expose this and show this is dead. I think that's a very interesting feature. You want to find interesting feature to accentuate a tree to make it different. So in fact, that's what I would do. I will put the soil level here to show this the growing part, this the dead part. And what I did wrong, in some sense, it's a continuous learning process. This is a really nice curve. I should have let it cut off that here. But now what do I do? Well, like I said, if you're lemon, you make lemonade. So I would take a chisel and carve out this part. So it's like indented to rhyme with the thing and it will heal over. But I still want to keep this part to look very natural. But you can see how the old trunk, the knobules shows up here. That's very pretty. But that would be the back side, and I will use this the front. You can see if I do this, make this a little bit in the back, this in the front, that'll be a really nice bonsai. Right, so again, later in the winter when the leaves are gone, I'll cut about here and put it in a pot, and this will look really, really magnificent. And I would like this branch to thicken. So in fact, I will not cut this branch out because anything points up grows fast. And so I want this branch to thicken out to about this, to rhyme with this, because that's the bottom branch, that should be the thickest. I think this would be a really, really specimen tree. So let me do the clipping. Again, with the clip and grow method, I pay attention to what will happen next. So I want this branch to thicken significantly, so I will not cut this branch. I wanted to force it to grow a lot. And neither would I cut the apex branch because I want it to grow a lot. So you have to look beyond that when you shape it. So the rest of it is really quick. I'll just cut off a branch that doesn't look right. Again, I do it quickly, not mindlessly, but I also know what I want it to grow out to become. So you see, I'm accentuating this little curve, and then this one will branch out this way to fill in that hole. So again, I will leave this branch alone. Now this one, I think I like this to be thickened a bit. So what I'll do is I'll clean out these little branches, and I probably like it to branch out here, but I will not cut it now. Why not? They will grow back again because this is not thick enough. So this will be growing at a comparable rate. So I'll cut it off here. So this will be the apex, and this will come out this way. And then this will come out, fill this hole, and I leave a little bit to grow back. So there will be branching going back. Now you can see some of these leaves are brown. That's because they were here this summer. And as the summer goes on, these get dried out, and then the new leaves come out vigorously. So that's how the tree grows. If your bonsai turns brown in the late spring, summer, don't worry about it. That's a natural process of leaves aging. So this is the first cutting after I took it out of the ground about 3 years ago. And so it's very rough, but it will grow out to give me more room for shaping. So I'm not worrying about it. So till next time, I would say, well, this is September, so it will be winter coming up pretty soon. I would say next March, April, I'll work on it again. You will see it'll be totally covered with leaves. And it will become, by the end of next year, it will become a really, really nice bonsai in a pot. Okay, now, in order not to disturb too much of the roots, I'll put it back in the pot. So this is the second elm tree I will do today to make the beginning of a bonsai elm. And I'm not even going to take it out of the pot because I want it to grow more. So that's what I do the first time of shaping. This is now the third time of shaping. And I normally wouldn't cut off this one. In fact, I still wouldn't. But for the, well, I'll show you one other thing I can do. This is a branch I wanted to become the apex, and I want this to be thick. So ideally is that I want to leave this alone to make it grow. On the other hand, I want my cake and eat it too. I want this branch to come out here so that it will fill out this hole nicely. Like this will be quite thick, and I cut it off, and all of this growth will cover this cutting. So let me show you one technique that's really valuable. What you look for is that these little butts here, you see how there's a little butt here? So what I will do is I will cut above the bark, above the butt. So now I have my cake and eater too. This bud will shoot out to give me a branch here. And then as a result, this bud below will also shoot out, give me a branch here. In the meantime, this will also thicken this part. So I have my cake and eater too by doing so. So here I just want to show you demonstrating the next level of details when you refine a tree from that one to this one. This one we're done again for now. With just a little bit of work. But the point I want to make is that the second stage, you refine the design a lot more carefully, and then you let it grow out again, then you clip it. The next one I'll do is the last stage, which is essentially a bonsai already, and it's a continuous improvement process. I will refine it again and again and again until it's really perfection after a few years to become my heirloom. So this is the third elm I'll be working on. This I've been working on the longest. This one was only in a pot from the ground about 3 years ago. And then the other one was a 2-year-old seedling, 3-year-old seedling that I worked on this spring. And now this one I've been working on for maybe 5, 6 years. And I like to do the final refinement. And again, I will demonstrate also use the technique of wiring because I don't have any more time in a sense, this tree I got only 3 years in it. If I spend 2 more years, only 5. But if I now want this tree to look decent fairly quickly. So what I would do is that I'll do the shaping quickly now, and then do a little bit of wiring for the final refinement, so that it will look nice quickly. So this is actually a really nice material. It's called Chinese Elm. You can see the leaves are very small and glossy. It's a selective variety by somebody by the name of Catlin, and it's a very popular elm. Actually, in fact, I think the elm in China for bonsai is pretty much of this material. So what I'll do is now get rid of the redundant growth to keep the shape. You don't want the branch to stay too close. And like this one, I want this to come out a little bit this way. So each branch needs to be taken care of. So this doesn't look natural. Any redundant branch that's kind of obstructs your view or distracts your view, you get rid of it. So every detail you pay attention to, so the tree looks really, really nice, every detail. So that's what you do. So like this goes like this, and then a little branch going out. And this is out of the way. And you want this branch to come out this way. So you leave a little stub. Now, as we get closer to apex, I have to be careful because every time I mess up the apex, keep changing my mind about what's the apex. I think in this case, I will wind up making this one the apex. See this one grow up to thicken this, and that become the top. This branch going this way, this branch going this way. At least that's my idea of the apex. And I will make sure I don't clip it again to destroy it by mistake. And it's also because this is this way, so balances the bottom, which is on this side. A couple other comments. I mentioned to you last time, a couple weeks ago, it looked dry. And if you look at it, the soil is really hard. It's not totally hard, it's soft in the bottom. So I need to water this more. In fact, given it's a small pot, I should soak it. Now let me do the final tuning, which is often needed by wiring. Look at this branch is sticking out. I would rather have this branch coming down, and I can break this a little bit, but I think, in fact, I would do that, break a little bit, because I want it to come down this way, so I'll break a little bit. So then I'll bend it. I hope don't break it. By the way, the juniper branch I broke last time is healing. It's really nice. So don't be too worrisome about breaking it. So I will use my standard wiring technique. I notice I use a pretty shiny wire because I don't want to miss it when I remove it. And of course, in this case, I have very few wiring, so it should be okay. But the point is that remove your wire probably not more than a month or 6 weeks, because the tree branch may bounce back a little bit, but they pretty much will stay put. And so wiring, unfortunately, some of the turns are actually wimpy, so I actually broke a little bit. So it's a sharp angle. And it should heal, and if I worry about it, I'll put a piece of plastic tape to protect the moisture from drying out. So now the angle is going to be more sharp, less wimpy, and then I would just so this way, you see, and I'll shape it again the next time. So it'll be conformed to the other ones all going down a bit, and this is the apex going up. So this will be the front of the tree, and I'll water this tree a lot more, so it will green out very quickly. And then the other one, this is almost sticking a little too far, so I will bend it in the sense of use an anchor wire to push it down. You see, much more natural. So that's what I'll do. So you adjust it a bit at a time until you get it to perfection. This tree actually is, I think, it's really nice. I love it. And yet it was just a simple little elm tree. Again, I'll remove this very quickly so as not to girdle the thing. So this is combining wiring and anchoring to bend to pull the branch down to get it to the right angle. So I'm not using wiring as such, so I'm not wearing it very carefully. Oh, sorry, I should have never done that. I meant to have this one long to pull it down with, but that's okay, I can fix it. So anchoring means I just take a wire and anchor it down. And I think I like this angle. So I just tie it like that and then remove it in about, I say 2-3 weeks. You see how this angle is nice now? Right, in fact, even a little bit more, down a little bit more. See, because the old branch gets heavy, it droops. So that's a tree. Let me rotate it for you. So in summary, I want to say that elm tree is a very desirable material, and it's very hardy and gets you plenty of opportunity to reshape it because it grows very rapidly, especially using the clip and grow method. So considering that, and again, one big advantage is they will tell you that it needs water because the leaf kind of lost its gloss. And you can see not much effort. In 5 years, I turned this into really quite a nice tree that, people are ooh and ah about it. And in this case, the soil is very shallow and it's a hot summer day, so it's getting dried up. So I will water it, soak it, so they will leaf out very quickly. So again, today I demonstrated starting from a raw material dug from the ground, or you can buy it from the nursery, and then a tree that I worked on a couple, 3 months ago, and then now one I've worked on for quite some time. And I'll remove all these wire, the anchor wire probably in 4 weeks, and then the rest of it, like that one, probably in about 6 weeks. And that will not girdle the tree, and it will remain look nice. I don't think you see any girdle mark. So again, I'm not opposed to using wire and grow, but use it judiciously and only when you need it to optimize the outcome. So thank you very much. I hope to see you next week working on another video. Please like my video. I need the encouragement and I need the brownie points. And subscribe to our channel so we can notify you of any new video coming up. so that you don't miss any good information. So thank you very much.